What up, YouTube? Back at it again with another video. Welcome to this very special Memorial Day vlog. Well, it's not too special, but it's kind of special. Yeah, last week I was doing some work on this thing, checking out this guy's skid plate from bottoming out. Also adjusted all of his ride height. Sort of did a corner balance on this thing too, a little backyard style, but I gave him a legit up to the knuckle gap in the fronts and a little bit higher up on the knuckle in the back, so he's got a tiny bit lower in the front, but definitely lifted up a little bit more so he's not going to be bottoming out and scraping on stuff. Went out for a test drive, and turbo cars, man, they're fun. Yeah, and then other than that, I detailed it for him. Detailed that and my girlfriend's car. I know you guys are probably like, dude, what's up with your girlfriend's car, bro? But yeah, maybe we'll cover this beast some other video. But yeah, gave him a full detail. Looking cool. Very nice car. Fun place to be. Yeah, so in today's video I did want to talk about what I thought about the new NSX. I think that is a question that you get quite frequently when you own this one. Is you get people that come up to you and they want to know what your thoughts and opinions are on the new NSX. And I think that's because the internet makes you want to hate the new NSX because everyone is such a hater. And yeah, I mean, the new NSX isn't like the old NSX. It isn't. And if you want it to be, or you think it's supposed to be like the old one, then you're gonna hate the new one because it's not the same. And the reason for that is because we live in a different time. We don't make sports cars like this again. If we made this car again, people would just talk more shit about it and say it's underpowered and blah 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 blah. You know, so that's not really the winning move for Honda. The winning move is to make a new car. Even though the acronym is NSX, they are different cars. This is the new sports car experimental, where the new NSX is the new sports car experience. And these two cars came at a very interesting time. The first NSX here came at a time where we mastered building vehicles in the most analog way. This vehicle represents like the Venn diagram of most reliable and analog in one. When we reached the the mid 80s, that's when things started to get super reliable. And I mean, even today you can buy like a 1985 CRX, and honestly, if it's been well kept, you wouldn't have any problems driving it around. And that's not to say that any of the older vehicles are any less reliable. My dad still drives his Dodge Challenger from 1973, and that thing's reliable, but that thing doesn't go around corners. You know, there's the special time when this car came out was when we really perfected things. So it's reliable, it's perfected for user experience, and it's capable. This right here is the king of the analog era. If you want a real visceral, you drive it completely yourself experience, your fate is in your hands type of situation, this is the car you want. As for the new sports car experience, the new NSX, that came at an interesting time as well. These are the days of the way too many exotic sports cars. I remember when I grew up, when I was getting into cars in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was so many cars in that mid-range price bracket. I mean, just from look, I'm not even going to talk about other makes, but just Honda alone if you went to a dealership in 2001 and you're like, hey, what kind of sports cars do you guys have? Like, I'm looking to buy a sports car. They'd be like, oh, well, let me just bust out my ledger here. Well, we've got an NSX, an S2000, we got a Prelude, we got an Integra Type R, we got a Civic Si, a Civic Type R. God, I feel like I'm missing one. Yeah. I mean, not to mention, like, you know, the Accord Euro R. I don't know if they had that at that point, but there was just like a ton of cars within the same, even the same car make. You know, like, you and your friends could all drive Hondas and technically drive different ones. But if you went to a dealership today, and you're like, hey, I want a sports car, they're going to be like, well, here's the Civic Type R, or if you can't afford that, here's the Civic Si. If you don't want any one of those, then get out of here. You know, it's like, there's just no mid-range sports cars like there used to be. But there's so many exotics, it's ridiculous. Like, there's more exotics these days than I can even remember. You know, it's like there's, you know, just between like kit cars and, you know, freaking Koenigseggs and McLaren, just McLaren on its own. Jeez, there's just so many models now. And so that being said, I think the new NSX is the king of the digital age. If you want a car that fits into modern society and really pushes the envelope in similar ways that this car did, the new NSX is actually the car to get. You guys seen the new Ferrari SF90? Is that what it is? That car just came out, and it's a new NSX, basically. So if you think about it, Honda did it again. They created something that was just slightly ahead of its time and reliable and yada yada, and they made other automakers freaking have to copy them again. I mean, we've got that SF90's got the same exact layout as this car, or not this car, but the new one. It's got, you know, the 2 electric motors in the front, creating the torque vectoring, the 1 electric motor attached to the motor, giving it that extra torque. It's twin turbo. I think a V8 in the SF90. The NSX is a V6, obviously. But yeah, if you think about it, the new NSX is really just Honda's new take on the king of the digital age. And if you think about it, how many cars are we really going to get anymore that are completely user controlled? I mean, this seems like the dawn before self-driving becomes a thing, doesn't it? Like, I don't know. I mean, how long have we had the GTR now? The GTR came out when? 2000-something, right? 2009, maybe? I'm not too sure about that, but either way, it's been out for so long. It's the longest generation GTR ever. And why is that? It's because they knocked it out of the park. They put all of their R&D in it. You guys remember when the GTR was coming out? That thing was so hyped. And then it easily met all that hype. It's been dominating. You know, they've made little iterations through the years, and that's their chassis. I don't know how much R&D needs to be going into chassis development anymore. We've kind of reached this point where our cars are not even going to be able to be piloted by us anymore. We're going into the whole self-driving era, and if you guys don't think that's closer than you think, you're sadly mistaken, because remember how many Priuses showed up out of nowhere? There was like the first year it came out, you're like, oh, there's that ugly Prius. The next thing you know, it's like, well, every other car is an ugly Prius, and you just kind of stopped caring. Well, basically, every single person that was that quick to adopt the Prius or this quick to adopt the, you know, the Teslas, those are the people that are really just going to quickly adopt this self-driving new age. And I think most people that are looking to control their own vehicle are going to be a pretty small demographic in the future. So basically what it all whittles down to is we should be really thankful that we even have all these user-controlled sports cars that we laugh now. We think that these new cars are so bottled up and they don't let you do what you really... They don't let... The driver inputs are kind of limited because there's so many computers that are making decisions for you. But we're going to actually look at those cars in the future and be like, actually, no, those cars were still very manual. You were still able to completely control it yourself, as opposed to something that we're going to see in probably another 10 years where it's like, most likely not really driving it yourself, you know? So, Yeah. What do I think about the new NSX? I think it's freaking awesome, and if you can afford it, yeah, jump on one and probably enjoy the shit out of it because it's pretty freaking awesome. I drove passenger in an NC1, and it was a hell of an experience. If I could pick one up, I absolutely would. I know they're starting to dip down. I think they started off, honestly, I don't know if it was markup or what, but they started off at like 179K when they came out. I've seen a couple stragglers or, mid-mileage examples now. I think I've seen them around like 115K or even dipping a little lower than that. So, I don't know, man. I think maybe in the next couple of years, you might be able to find like a brand new NC1 NSX for sub 100K. And if you can pick up that car for sub 100K, I mean, you're buying a hell of a lot. And if the old NSX is anything like the new one, that means it's not causing that big of a ripple while it's for sale. But as soon as they discontinue it and people realize what they had, they're going to shoot up in price. And I think they're going to become a collectible car just like this one did. And it's going to take a little bit of time. I mean, you guys remember, this car came out in 91 and I think 2009. So, 20-something years later, they dipped down as low as, a fraction of what they cost new. So we're going to find that low point for the new one as well. And if you can pick it up. And if you manage to get your hands on one, I guess, before they become like a cult classic, do it, because the prices will probably go back up. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the new NSX dip down, into 100K, and then, in about 10 years or so, it getting back up to about what it was when it first came out. I don't think we're going to have too many of them to go around. And that's another thing, is when people don't buy them when they first come out, people want to hate on them, and then the hate gets forgotten, and then the car gets discontinued, and now all of a sudden people want them, and there's only like 15 of them to go around, or whatever. There's a very limited amount of these new ones to go around. So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that thing is not a straight up beast, and it's a phenomenal car that Honda made, and I don't see Honda making another one. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't even see Nissan making a new GTR platform. Like, sure, they might continue to make little iterations on the same platform, Nismo this, Nismo that, or whatever, but yeah, I don't see it happening, guys. I think we got what we got, and we should be thankful for what we have. And the next wave of ultra crazy cars is not going to be anything like we've ever seen. I think there's going to be so much driver assist that I don't know if you can call it driver assist. More like just handicap. That's another thing too. It's like people don't have a chance to learn on shit boxes like they used to. Like, I used to drive slow-ass cars before I got into quote-unquote fast cars. It's not even that fast compared to, things that are out these days, like a Hellcat or a freaking, a Model S or whatever. But either way, I took the road where you had to learn first, and you got good at it. You kind of mess up a couple cars and, in learning, but then, like, you get the hang of it. You start, as you start, like, upgrading, like, speed starts coming to you, over time, not just you buy a car and it's just freaking crazy. And if you guys know anything about RC cars, here, I'll show off my little build here. If you guys know anything about RC cars, then if this was to scale, if they somehow made this like a 1-to-1 this size, cars like this are never, ever, ever going to compete with this. Like, if you guys have played with RC cars, how badly motorcycles smoke cars, right? Well, RC cars smoke motorcycles that much worse. It's fucking crazy. RC cars are just I don't know, they're fucking nuts, dude. And as soon as we get this type of technology to scale, which we're basically already there, the next generation is really going to laugh at us for thinking that we had any cars that we thought were fast. So we're going to move into this age now where any Joe Schmo is going to be picking up like basically a little platform, like an RC car, and it's going to fucking fly, dude. And I don't know about you guys, but it took me a long time to practice how to start driving fast before I even should have even owned a fast car. So if you think about it, it's all a part of the evolution of things. You know, as we start developing these ridiculous freaking fast-ass electric cars, we're also going to have to implement all these driver aids and nerf them a whole bunch and not let the driver have full functionality of what's capable of, because quite frankly, what it's going to be capable of will be something so far beyond what this car is capable of that no person that just got a license 3 years ago should have any business driving. So if we think about it, it's just like, I guess it's just the curve of technology and I guess user functionality. I mean, we're not going to be able to let people just drive around in a completely uncorked electric car in the future. It's going to be absolutely insane. So of course they're going to have driver assists and you're basically not even, you're basically going to have a button in there that's like street race, beep, cool, my car beat you. No more driver mod, just my car is faster. So yeah, anyways, I guess I can wrap it up with saying I think the new NSX is a really amazing car, and at the end of the day, you still are driving it yourself. I know it doesn't have a manual transmission in it, but I'm going to tell you right now, I've been in one, and I still want a manual, dude. I'm not going to change my freaking story, dude. It was cool with the paddle shifters. It felt fast. That clutch was ridiculous, but yeah, I'd still would want to shift it. If I was shifting it myself, that car would be even sicker. So, you know, I'm not gonna sit around and tell you guys that it's fun with an automatic. And fuck that, dude. But still a hell of a vehicle, and still a great car. And I think as time goes on, the prices will find their bottom and they'll start to go back up. And if you were able to get one while you could, awesome, because I'm not so sure that we're gonna make a freaking spaceship like that ever again. So yeah, the new NSX is a pretty badass car, you guys. I would check one out if you're balling. But yeah, all right, enough blathering by me. I think you guys get the point. I think the NSX and the new NSX are both great vehicles and just kind of fit the time period that they're from. So yeah, if you guys have any disagreements or you think otherwise, please leave me a comment down below. If you've had any experience with the new NSX, let me know how it was. Cool. All right, you guys, until the next one, peace out.